Today on the On.NET show, Casey's going to be showing you a bunch of new refactorings that are in Visual Studio 2017 15.8 version. Please check it out. You won't want to miss it. Welcome to another episode of the On.NET show. Today we have Casey, who's going to be showing us refactorings in Visual Studio. And yeah, let's get started. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start.
Sure. I'm Casey Uhlenhout. I'm a program manager on the .NET and Visual Studio team. My main job is to figure out how to make developers more productive when writing C# and Visual Basic inside Visual Studio. So
that sounds like a good idea.
It does sound like a good idea, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we work together.
Yeah, we do work together.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so what do you got?
All right, so here I have, my standard little demo app. That's my Alexa skill that I wrote. So we'll just go through and refactor parts of it. So every update to Visual Studio, we're working to add more and more refactoring. Is because one of the top developer productivity things that people say they're missing. So like, oh, give me a refactoring for this and that. And so we've been working to add those all in.
And speaking of that, which version of Visual Studio are you actually running here?
Yeah, so if you look at my Visual Studio, I'm on this little preview, and it's because I'm on Visual Studio 2017 version 15.8 preview 3. But so if you're in 15.8, you'll get all the ones that I show, but I'm only going to show one that's specific to 15.8.
15.8.
Yeah, so I'm on 15.8, but.
Okay, that's the same one I'm running as well.
Yeah, and so we have the classic refactoring. So if you have your cursor in like the name of a variable or whatever, you can do Control-RR to rename it in line, and we get this nice little pop-up on the right-hand side that lets you include comments or strings and see a preview if you want. We go the step further, so.
And did you say Control-RR?
Yeah, Control-RR.
So with that, do you kind of hold the Control key down and then hit R twice?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Hold Control down, R twice, and then it will rename. We have this built-in conflict resolution, so if we can tell that the name that you've typed in conflicts with another name that will be unresolvable, we'll let you know in this little thing over here to let you know that it's unresolvable. Or if it is resolvable, despite having the same name as something else, we'll also let you know as well. So it's like something we do in our rename. It's classic. It's been around forever. And so that's how you can do that. I just hit escape there to exit the rename session. And
then you're back to kind of 0.
Yeah, I'm back to where I started. So if I do want to rename it because, Dustin always gets mad at me because I abbreviate my latitude and longitude to lat and long, which doesn't really mean anything. So I can update it now to be more explicit on what I'm doing here.
Yeah, don't go to the API design guidelines group. They won't even let you in the door.
Exactly. The other sort of like classic one we have is extract method. So if you select any chunk of code, so I can like select all this, and I can do Control dot. And so Control dot allows you to access any refactoring that we have, and they show up in this little screwdriver icon that we have. Some people think it looks like a paintbrush. Whatever helps you understand what it is. And so from here, you can extract a method. We drop you in a rename session, and you could name it whatever you want.
Well, you know what I think it looks like.
What do you think it looks like?
Sonic screwdriver.
A sonic screwdriver?
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is.
From Doctor Who.
Oh, I've never seen Doctor Who.
Okay.
I know. Unbelievable, but haven't. So those are the classic refactorings that people ask for that we have built in. They've been around since 2015, so you should have them if you're in 2015. One that we've added in 15.8, so Visual Studio 2017 15.8, is Invert If. So from an if statement, you can press Control dot, and we'll offer to invert your if.
I love this one.
Yeah, and so you can see here we're like inverting your logic and things like that. And so this is useful like here. Rather than having my else case throw exceptions, it's like look for a specific case and throw my exception, otherwise do the rest of my logic. So that's what it's doing here.
Right, so you guys must have some pretty, I don't know if the word is sophisticated, but some fairly smart system that can know that when you invert the if, that it is exactly the right inverse of what the expression was in the if statement.
Right, yeah. I mean, like we go through and we say, oh, like flip the logic on all this stuff, yeah.
So you must have tests for that? Because that's a
yeah. You have to test. I would hope we have tests for things.
Right.
But yeah, we have lots of. You can go into the Roslyn code base and see all the unit tests that we wrote to check all the refactorings that we write and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
That one just seems conceptually more complicated than, say, the rename ones. But maybe that's not true.
No, rename can go across multiple files.
Okay.
It's way more complicated. Well, I don't know about that.
Or I guess they're complicated in different ways.
Yeah, complicated in different ways. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was Invert If. That's the only one that I'm showing. That's Visual Studio 2017 15.8 only. It's a new one that we've added for that. You can also, oh, actually, I lied. Sorry, lied. You can now add a parameter to a method. So from my call site here, I can add something. So like I want to have a boundary of 180. So if I want to do my boundary checking when I check my boundaries, I can now do control dot, and you can add a parameter in here. And this is actually a community contribution because we're open source. A community member wrote this, and so we got it in for 15.8. So you can now add a parameter to a method here.
Now, when you do that, my assumption would be that it would obviously add that parameter to that particular call site, and then it changes the signature of the method you're calling.
You
but
can
if
see
there's
it just did it here.
But if there's other call sites, then I assume that they would be broken. Am I thinking about that correctly?
Yes. If there was, so yeah, in this case I only have one. I'm not actually sure what we do for the other ones. I think they would be broken, they'd be errors, and you have to go visit, you have to do like final references or whatever and visit all of them.
That stands to reason.
Yeah.
To me.
We were considering designs where we would like put in null for you or like other things like that. But in this case.
Yeah, this seems good.
And then what else do we do? So in here, another classic one is to inline a temporary variable. So you can see here I have two temporary variables. You just put your cursor in them. We'll offer to inline them. So if you prefer that, you can come over here, inline both of them. Oh, that was the wrong one. Sorry, guys. I did change my code style instead. Had to come down to temporary variable. So I inline those. Another refactoring that people use a lot. Yeah, so that was those. If now that I've added this boundary parameter, I realized that I want to change my order. We've always had change method signature, so just from a signature, press control dot again, offer to change the signature. We pop up this dialog, give you, you can resort them, so I can click my boundary, make it the first one. I could remove it if I regretted that decision, and you can see a nice code preview in here.
Okay, so now that will change all call sites.
Yeah, that will change all of them, because it's not adding anything.
Right. Now, if you were to remove a parameter, like say boundary, presumably boundary is used as basically a local inside the check boundaries method. And so presumably you would get a compiler error for that.
Let me show you. So here I consume it, right? So that's consumed. So now come in here, change signature, remove it, give you the preview that it's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. And now you wouldn't have anything here.
Okay. That makes complete sense. Okay, awesome. And the nice thing about these refactorings is, in Canada speak, Control Z
works.
Works.
Yeah, I just undid with Control Z or Z, wherever you're from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last one that people really like that came in Visual Studio 2017 is so here I have my refactoring class. If I hover over this structure visualizer, I can see I have the GeoHelpers or GeoCodeHelpers class. So if you believe every class should be in its own file with the same name, you can just put your cursor in here, control dot. You can see all the different generate actions we have. You can talk to interface, but then we have move type to its own file with the same name. So if I zoom in, you can see offers to make it with the same name. And we'll pull over all your usings and whatever else you have there. Yep.
Now, will you pull over only the usings that are necessary for that particular class, or just copy the complete set?
We only take over the ones that are used.
Okay, for that class. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to admit, whenever I'm doing something and I temporarily put another class in the same file, I always feel like I'm breaking some rules. Better not do that for too long.
Yeah. So that was just a quick overview of refactorings that we've done. We added those 2 new ones in 15.8 to add a parameter to a method and invert your if statements. And yeah, we're adding more and more all the time. And if you have a refactoring you really want, you can either find the Roslyn GitHub repo and have a feature suggestion there, or in Visual Studio, you can go up to the little send feedback person up here and click it and then provide a suggestion. And it goes straight to the product team. So.
Right. Which is you and a few other.
Which is me and other people.
Yeah, a few other folks.
Yeah.
So on the Roslyn GitHub repo, is there a complete list of the refactorings, kind of like documentation, or is that in our doc stuff?
That's in our documentation.
Okay. Do you want to take us?
Yeah, let me take you to our documentation.
Yeah, that might be.
So if you go to aka.ms/vs2017 guide, as I've done here, that's like the short link to our productivity guide that we've written. And in here, it teaches you like how to do a bunch of different stuff. And there's one of them that says, I need more refactorings and code fixes. And if you go there, it shows you the initial list of things that people really like, and then it links you to the rest of the documentation. So I can come here and, here's the refactor code.
Right.
And we'll teach you how to do them. Oh yeah, I didn't show this one. Like convert a link query to a for each statement. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Which is something people ask for a lot. So
Yeah,
I have that
I
as
have
well.
to admit, I do use link, but I end up going to the 101 link samples.
Which was written by an intern.
Yeah, he's not an intern anymore.
No.
Yeah, having some help in that arena is super useful.
Right. Yeah, and so we've gotten a lot of feedback from developers that, especially people who are new to .NET, link is hard to understand, and so they want a way to take a link expression and convert it to a for each, so that they can understand what's going on and then switch it back, so no one knows that they didn't know. Yeah, got to be sneaky.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah. So can you give us a sense of, if you're say still on VS 2013, that's the last version, right?
No, 2015.
2015. Yep. It's these 15s that screw me up. If you're on VS 2015,
yes,
and you haven't moved to VS 2017 yet, how many, what's the scale of refactorings that you would get? How many have we added from 15.0 onward?
Yeah, from Visual Studio 2017 15.0 to 15.8, it's been over 50.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's over 50 code fixes and refactorings.
Okay.
So, or quick actions and refactorings. So things that show up in the light bulb menu or the screwdriver menu. Yeah.
Right. So are we going to do the same thing in Dev 16? We're going to add that many more again, or kind of unknown?
That's the hope, at least. I don't know if it'll be that many, because we've hit a huge chunk of the ones that people are missing, and there's sort of the next tier. But yeah, the more and more people send us in feedback for things that they're missing, we'll know which ones we have.
I see. So we're kind of starting.
So we have a backlog.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's 50 deep. So.
Right. So we're starting to get a little bit into the tail, is what I hear you saying. A little bit more into the sophisticated niche.
Yep.
Makes sense. So what has the feedback been like?
What do you mean?
Customer feedback on
these refactorings?
Yeah.
People seem to like them, and we look at the usage data, and people are using them.
Okay.
So we're like,
Yeah.
woohoo! If you want to send us compliments, we'll take them. So.
Flowers, chocolate.
No, we cannot be bribed.
Okay.
We can be bribed. And yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So people seem to like them, and people say what other ones that they want. So we know, what do we have to do? We have to finish the rest of the for each to link ones. So we do link query to for each right now. We'll soon have for each to link query, but then people want link method to for each, and for each to link method, and then link query to link method, and vice versa as well.
I think that one will be the bomb. I can imagine so many people wanting those. There's a ton of value there.
Yeah, and then the other big one we know we have to do is adjust namespaces, which is sync folder structure with namespace structure. So, which is a huge refactoring for someone to do manually, to keep their namespace to match their folder. and things
That
like
sounds big.
Yeah.
That would be a fun PR to bring to a repository.
It's very scary because it changes a lot. And so
Exactly.
we have to, because we are the compiler team, so
Yeah.
we have to be perfect.
Yes.
So,
It's true.
yeah.
It literally is true.
Yep. So,
Okay, well, thanks for coming by. This is awesome.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. I think people are going to love to see these few new features that are in 15.8.
yeah.
And if they're still on 2013 or 2015, then
Upgrade.
then totally
Upgrade.
totally upgrade, because this will make people so much more efficient.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, well, that's been another episode of the On.NET show. Casey showed us refactorings in Visual Studio 2017, and it looks like there's a lot there for you to go and try. Thanks for watching.